Okay, people, so welcome to episode 2 of Insights and Chill with your boy Black Heezy, again part of the YSO social series. Now on Thursday, I gave you guys another vote. Again, you guys voted on the topic. So the first one, which is the one that got voted for, was, you see all these hashtags nowadays, you know, hashtag pray for Paris, hashtag pray for Manchester, hashtag pray for whatever European Western world country that is, or city. But then, what about all of the crimes, you know, and the terrorist attacks that happen in the eastern part of the world? You know, I don't hear about no hashtag pray for Afghanistan. You know what I mean? So that was the other one. That was the topic. The other topic that you guys didn't vote on was about wolf whistling and cat calling. I got recommended that topic by someone. But we're going to talk about the first one that you, the people, voted for, right? So I got a few people that want to join the discussion. But again, just as always, I'm going to tell you my thoughts on it first, right? My thoughts on it. Now, from what I think, right, we're living in a very Western, obviously, very much Christian white society, right? Because we are. It's as simple as that, because we are. Nobody doesn't know that. It's very obvious. We're in a predominantly Christian white society, right? So when all these like terrorist attacks and whatnot happen, yeah, cool. We're gonna get, you know, to pray for and show support for the people. But actually, when you flip it around, right, and you don't know the amount of damage that's being done on the other side, but we never hear about that. And I don't know why. In fact, I think I do know why, but I don't know why it's like that, right? Why? How comes we're only showing support for the people that are here, right? But what about those people over there that actually our government, right? And our people are in those countries doing the same damage. In fact, damage on an even bigger scale, right? Like, now I'm not endorsing anything, you know, but we're doing just as much damage, if not more, on their side. But we don't get, when Facebook bring out, you know, we're gonna filter our profile picture in the French flag or whatever, right? Do you know what I'm saying? I don't get to filter my profile picture in the Afghanistan flag, do I? Do you know what I mean? So we have some people here to talk about this subject. I'm going to try and invite Kamal first. So waiting for Kamal. Kamal didn't get to go live last time because his app was messed up, and I've just invited him, and it doesn't look like I can hear him. I can't see him. I can hear him.
For a second, I'm dead, so it's all right.
Right.
Yeah, it's not working, or is it?
No, we can hear you. We can hear you, Kamal. We can't see you, but we can hear you.
Okay.
So speak. It's fine.
Basically, yeah. The way I see it is, in Europe, for the Western world, whatever, we're very accustomed to seeing that side of the world, the Middle East, Afghanistan, all that. We're used to seeing those places as war zones. So on a day-to-day basis, when you're fed that imagery of, you know, these kids and these areas destructed and
Kamal? Something must have happened to Kamal. Right, I don't know what's happened to Kamal. Hold on a second. I think he's gone. Wait a minute. Let's go live. Something happened to Kamal, right? He was getting on a very good point here. I've just accepted him again. Let's see what happens.
is it back?
It's back. Go on, continue. We're back.
We're used to seeing that part of the world, the Middle East and etc., like as a war zone. But when that war zone is brought, or it's not fair to say war zone, but when those terrorist attacks are brought to the UK or to the States, it's a lot easier for British or white people or, you know, people of this world to relate to that and say,
bruh, Kamal, fam. It will sort out your internet. Right. Hold on a second. Because I was very interested in Kamal's point, right? We're going to try it one more time again. I sent him a request. We're going to try it one more time again. Let's go, Kamal.
I don't know what has happened, but it's easier.
Don't worry. Continue.
It's easier for people on this side of the world to relate to those people who have sadly lost their lives in terrorist attacks. Because, you know, they can say, I've been to Manchester, I've seen that building, you know. So it's easier when they say, man, that girl is a young white girl, she could be my daughter. And when she passes away, that's easier for them to relate to. But, you know, I'm Middle Eastern as well. I can relate to places like Iraq. I can relate to places where, you know, I've seen parts of the world like that. I am Palestinian, so I have lost family through war zones. So for me, when I look at that,
right, yo, Kamal was making a good point, right? His internet messed up a little bit, but he was making a good point. I see where he's coming from. Basically, he's saying it's a lot closer to home here, right? That's why we can relate to it here. When don't worry, Kamal, don't worry, we get your point. Don't worry. We're gonna invite someone else in. Maybe I then we'll invite you back, but we understand the point that he was trying to make. Now, I get all of that, right? But I still don't understand how comes we as a Western society don't pay more attention to it. Like, that's what I'm trying to get at here. We don't pay more attention to it, right? Like, we want to report everything that's happening here. And fine, that's all well and good. It's happening here where we live. Where we live, it's happening where we live. But we don't pay attention to what's going on the other side when in fact, we're over there causing trouble. Like, we're causing trouble. Now, like, okay, I get it, right? We're trying to help some areas and whatnot, right? But at the end of the day, we are over there, right? Doing things. Like anyway, I got someone else to join here. My bro, right, I'm adding some, right? So I fairly spoke to Som about this a little bit. Like, he had interesting points to say. I've invited him. Yo, Som. Yo, man. Yo, tell the people your thoughts on this. Right.
If I can remember what we were talking about before, in terms of that, like what was saying there, that we're not exposed to like their side of it, so they might be doing something different when we talk about things like pray for Paris, pray for Manchester. They might be doing something different on their side as well that we're not privy to because our social media and our reach of stuff.
But what he was basically saying, we'll try and get him back in a bit. We might try and get Kamal back in a bit as well. But what someone was saying, right, and I spoke to Som, he's my housemate, so I spoke to him the other day about it, so I kind of understand where he's come. What he was saying is that we might react differently as a Western world, right? We might react differently to something like that than how people on the Eastern side of the world might react to it, right? We might, because, you know, all the technological advances and hashtag pray for this, pray for that, and the face filters, right? We naturally have all of that at our disposal, and that's just how we deal with things, right? So I'm saying, on the flip side, right, they might deal with things differently, and I get that. I totally get that, right? On when you look on the Eastern side of the world, you might deal with things differently. But again, it still ain't answering my point. Like, now Roland said earlier, like, I've been reading some of the comments, and Caroline, said earlier, it doesn't fit with the media agenda. Right? Then Michael Russell said, the death of a Syrian kid means as much to me as a London kid. And it means as much to me as a London kid. And it should mean as much to everyone as a London kid. And especially the media outlets. Especially the media outlets. But I don't want to report that. I don't know why now. Now we have someone else to join. His name is Chris Sargent. I'm going to invite Chris Sargent to the conversation here because I hear he has some views. Now, I'm going to read out your topics in a minute, but let's just get Chris on when he comes through. I'm having a bit of trouble with my stream. I can't see the other people joining, so I didn't see Som. I didn't see Kamal. But I've just invited Chris. Hopefully he can join. So we'll wait for him. But that's basically what I'm trying to get at. So I'm going to read some of your comments, right? As the public, we need to use the power of the internet to raise awareness because the news... Oh, wait, something happened here. Right, because the news isn't... It's happened. Because the news isn't going to go in depth about it. That's the importance of using hashtags like pray for Syria. Right, I get that, right? But do we use those hashtags? That's what I'm saying. We don't use those hashtags, right? We're going to use pray for Paris, right? We're going to use pray for Manchester, right? We're going to use pray for Western cities. But we're not using it pray for Syria. Like, and by the way, Aniza wrote that comment, right? That's what I'm saying. I get it. I get why we're doing it, but why don't we do it if we're doing it for the West, why aren't we doing it for the East? It don't make no sense. Like, it doesn't make no sense. Like, as Michael said, the death of a Syrian kid means as much to everyone as the death of a British kid. Like, it should, right? So let's just try and get Chris back on. Chris, right, here we, all right, I can actually see Chris this time. All right, yo, Chris, speak to the people, man. Yo, someone's up with... Right, Chris left. We couldn't hear him for some reason. Couldn't hear the sound. Right. Let's just try and get Kamal back up in here. And then we might try and go back to Chris in a minute. All right. Yo, Kamal, right, I think we're working properly now. I can see you.
Yeah. So I think the media, like you brought the media up quite a bit. And it's a lot easier. Like if you look at the media as a whole, there's two kind of groups. There's you know, the popular media that's out there for everyone, BBC, NBC, all that shit. But then you have like this underground media almost, which is run through the internet and the people, you know, like the people force who are running and doing their own thing. Those guys you see on Facebook and shit saying pray for Pakistan, pray for Syria, because they understand that, you know, they're self-educating. But a lot of, you know, to an extent, there's like this pray for Manchester and pray for Paris is almost like a trend where, you know, it comes up on my Facebook. Oh, I've seen like Jessica and this, and all these people praying for these Western European countries, and they go, oh, and they jump on the bandwagon. But it's a lot harder, you know, if you look on your Facebook, through your Facebook friends, if you have Asian or Muslim friends, majority of the time they're there on both ends, praying for Manchester and praying for Syria. And that's because, you know, they have family who are in those parts of the world who are affected by, you know, by these acts of terror. So for them, they are, you know, unintentionally educated in that field. They're aware of it because that to them is part of their culture. But, you know, we can't always blame people and saying like, oh yeah, you're going to pray for Manchester, but fuck these guys in Syria or whatever. That isn't always the case. So a lot of the time with those things, at least I feel like, you know, it's easier for people to say, pray for Manchester, pray for these places, because it is constantly in the media or it's constantly be shared. But places like Syria and Pakistan and, you know, Palestine is a massive one. You know, there's a lot of freedom fighters for Palestine on the internet and people who go and protest and rally, but you don't see what Israel is doing to Palestine. And, you know, there's nothing done in the UN, and there's always like an underlying reason behind these things that's bigger than me and you and anything that the community.
Yeah, that's the next question. But that's part of the point. So I get what you're saying, right? Obviously, the people that are educated about it, like, will understandably comment on these things. But in this thing, why aren't more people educated about it? And that's where we have to look at actually who's reporting this news. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? We have to look at who is it. I know somebody wrote, and Caesar wrote again something about because the mainstream news services are reporting it, but they should be. They should be. I don't care, right? I don't care if the BBC, right, is predominantly a British like news organization. They're still global. They have a global service, right? Just like all of these other news agencies out there, they have a global service. So do the thing, do what's right, and bring the news up. But
British media, it's a lot easier for British media, you know, to report on things that are close to home. Why would they spend an hour of their time reporting on something going on, like?
But you just spoke about educating people. You just spoke about educating.
But then who's in charge of the BBC? Right. Who's pushing this agenda of, who's pushing the agenda of let's only report on like British or European or American terrorist attacks when there are these other things going on? Now, if you look at, Middle Eastern news stations, a lot of the time there isn't stuff that reports on stuff going on in Manchester. When the bombings in Manchester happened, there wasn't anything on Arabic media saying there was a terrorist attack in Manchester. Now, that could be the Middle Eastern side of politics pushing their own agenda through the media, or it could be that it's just not close enough for them to feel relevant to put on the news. Stuff like Syria, which is an ongoing war zone, however, that is constantly brought up in the media, British and Middle Eastern. But as far as the social networking side of things go, it's not so much of a trend to be, pray for this place, pray for that place. I think everyone has those people on their social media accounts that are saying, let's pray for Syria and this and that, but you won't find the majority of people doing that. And it comes down to self-educating yourself on these topics.
Right, yo, Rude Boy, come on, thank you for joining. I'm gonna give you a quick overview of what you said, but I appreciate time. So Kamal actually brought up, as he was ending there, he brought up a thing, let's say the bombings that do happen in Europe or whatever, and you don't actually, Kamal, by the way, is from Qatar. He's from Qatar, so he comes at this with a very different viewpoint from what other people may come at this with. He was born in Qatar. Yeah, well, I just said that. Anyway, so he brought up a very interesting point, actually, that a lot of times what happens in Europe, you don't necessarily hear them in Asia. Or not just Asia, but like anywhere in the East. Yeah, you won't necessarily hear about it, right? And it's like, again, it raises the same question over there as it does over here. Like, we have the right, we as people, right, have the right to know what's going on all over. And you can say you can go on the internet and find out what the hell's going on anyway, right? Of course you can, but still, right, these services are here to provide that support anyway, right? They're here to, like, BBC on TV, whatever, I keep bringing up whatever, like, it should be front and center news, right, all the time, that's just my view, right? One more time, right, we're just going to try and get, if Chris is not available no more, Chris has left, we're going to try and get Chris back, but he's down, is he here? No, he's here, right, yo, Chris, I'm going to try and get you on. I've sent you a request. Here's Chris. Right. Yo, speak. Can we hear you now?
Working.
Yeah, we can hear Chris now. All right, we can hear Chris. All right. Go on, Chris. Speak to me.
I think in Europe it comes down to like a deviation from the norm. So you get stuff in with Manchester and Paris and London. It's a drastic deviation from the norm. So compared to, if you reported and it got mainstream news and people were talking about it and there were hashtags for every suicide bombing in Iraq or Syria, it would be a non-stop constant thing because it's a war zone. It's been like that. Syria's been like this for 7 years. Afghanistan's been a war zone since 2001. Iraq.
But don't we have the right to be constantly kept up to date about this? Don't we, like, as people have?
It gets reported. It gets reported by CNN, by NBC, and by the BBC. You go in the Middle Eastern section of the BBC News website, and you will see all sorts of stuff.
Why isn't it? Look, people are dying. Yeah, like people are dying. Why isn't it always breaking news? People are dying. Yes. Why isn't it always breaking news? Pardon?
It's not. I mean, it's horrible. Yeah, it's horrible. Yeah, obviously, but to speak about it objectively, it's not necessarily breaking news. Compared to, because that's what I mean by a deviation from the norm. So there's a big story that came out in Mogadishu last year, where a truck drove into a market and killed 787 people when it detonated. That was breaking news because it's still a deviation from the norm. You see what I mean? That's a drastic increase in the level of violence that was heavily reported.
I see what you're saying. No, I do. I see what you're saying. At the end of the day, right? Like, probably coming from a perspective with my media hat on now, right? Essentially, they wanna, as you said, they wanna report news, right? That isn't like commonplace.
Yeah.
Right, that isn't commonplace. That's something a bit rare, but also isn't that a fault on them, right? Essentially, they just want the views, right? When you come out, they just want the views. They know news that isn't commonplace.
I mean, it's like, would you want them to report on every car crash that happened, or because that's not.
I think that's the difference. We're talking about mass violence.
Yeah.
We're talking about mass violence.
Yeah, it is mass violence. I mean, it would be interesting to know because I think. When I caught up, and there was a bit mentioned about how much stuff in Europe was mentioned, is reported in foreign media. So it'd be interesting to know how much Japanese media would report on, say, the Manchester bombing.
Oh, no, yeah. Oh, so we spoke about that, and I just said, absolutely. No, absolutely, we spoke about that, and I absolutely said just now is that if you flip it and reverse it, because Kamal brought up a very good point, actually. Kamal said that actually when you do flip it on the other side, that it's the same. So I'm like, I'm just not. I'm bringing up Europe now because I'm living in Europe. I'm here. I'm sitting down right in England in my yard in Manchester. You know what I mean? But when you flip it, right? Say if I was Japanese, I'd be saying the same thing because apparently it is the same thing. How comes over there we don't hear about the stuff going on? I'm just saying from a point of a people, as one, we're all people. We deserve to know at the front center of what is going on everywhere.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
How much would you want that reported? Because I mean, you have correspondents and you have people in Syria and the Middle East who all report on these sort of things. A lot of the time, though, it gets put in sort of news articles that are on the website, things like that, on the Middle Eastern tab, those sort of stuff. It depends. Are you talking about you want this like on News at 10 sort of stuff?
I'm not talking about what I want. I'm just here making a discussion for you people, right? Like, and you know what? Some people may want that. Yeah. Some people may not want that. But I'm just saying, don't you think that right now it's not that way? Right now it's not that way.
Oh no, it's not.
I'm making an argument for the reason that
the way things are. I think a wider understanding and appreciation of what goes on in the world is only beneficial. It's much better.
Oh yeah, of course. And that's basically what I'm getting at. Of course, that's basically what I'm getting at.
And I think
anyway, yo, Chris,
point as well, just quickly about how you empathise with people is, you can see yourself in a similar situation. We'd consider ourselves a lot more similar to the French or to the Americans or to the Canadians than you would do to someone from Somalia or from Indonesia or from Pakistan, if you see what I mean. I mean, obviously there are a lot of people of that origin in the country, but for the most part, the country is over 90% white Anglo-Saxon, doesn't speak a foreign language. Those are the kinds.
Absolutely, and I think that's part of it. I absolutely think that's part of it. But yo, Chris, thank you for joining, mate. I appreciate you giving the time to come on this Insights and Chill. So thank you very much, mate. I appreciate it. Right, yeah. So Chris was basically getting from a point of basically saying that the media generally wants to go away from the norm. They wouldn't go away from the norm. They want to create news that is not commonplace, right? That's rare and that will get people talking interest in it. If these things that happen in the eastern part of the world happen every day, then he said, what's then generally like, would we want to see that reported? Right? It's not anything rare or it's not anything normal. I'm just saying, well, they're just there to get the views, right? Just like any other company. But really, should they just be there about just getting the views and reporting on things that are just going to be there for likes, right? When we really need to know the hard hitting stuff. And again, it's the same if you flip it and reverse it like Missy Elliott, it's the same just on the other side of the world, right? I've been educated today on this Insights and Chill. I've been educated saying that it's just the same over there, right? So, but guys, I appreciate you joining episode 2 of Insights and Chill with Black Keezy. Right, the next vote for next Monday will be on Thursday, and I'm telling you, right, I've got 2 very juicy, interesting topics. I'm not even just advertising, marketing, right? I've got 2 juicy topics that is going to be hard for you guys to vote on, right? So I appreciate all the love. I'm just reading through some of these comments, but like, yo guys, you can watch this back on my story. I'm gonna put this on my Instagram story. You guys can watch this back anytime you guys want. I'm gonna read it as a highlight,